Well, hello again, race fans, and welcome to Season 14, race number 3 of 12. It's going to be 95 laps around the classic Legacy Michigan International Speedway right here on VirtualRacing.Network. This is the Michigan 190, presented by StickQuik from, not from Long Pond, Pennsylvania, of course, from Michigan International Speedway. So great to be with you. My name is Trevor Greenfield. I'll be with you covering all of the action today as the league gets set to head down and start their qualifying for today's event. Won't miss any of that action, so let's go ahead and jump down trackside, see who is out there. Well, we got Dominic Hart sideways on the track after taking his very first qualifying attempt lap, but not quite getting one in. So as we get set here and get ready for 190 laps, there's going to be a lot of drafting. Of course, you do have to qualify first. Perhaps getting on pole position will mean something. But I tell you what, no matter what, it will mean something in terms of points. You will get, of course, bonus point for taking that pole position, and that is so crucial as we get into this championship here now just in round 3, but we head down the long stretch of season 14, and it's really anybody's championship. So everybody fighting for every possible point. Dan Ensch there finishing his second lap, and here's Howard Livingston with the Care Camps automobile out there second fastest thus far. And also, you can see Ryan Bowles now just having put in his pole position qualifying lap, or provisional pole position, I should say. Currently shown there in first. Dominic Hart coming back with an even faster second lap as he brings that Snap-on machine around. Feel confident that we can say that, as Snap-on is listed in the official iRacing bunch of sponsors, so we can talk about that. Hart now on pole. Can anybody take that pole position? Well, I saw Graham Bunyan poke his nose out for a second. In the meantime, we'll take a look over here at this guy, Jeff Murray. We haven't seen him in the series regularly over the last season, but he did come up here just a couple of weeks ago for the first time, and that is great to see some of these series regulars getting back in the series. The cool thing was that in practice, he was one of the fastest. I'm not sure if he ended up the fastest in practice, but he was right at the top of the list. And so Murray does a lot of official racing as well. Will he be able to take pole position here today? That is a good question. And in the meantime, how about this guy, Graham Bunyan, as he rolls across the line after his first lap. And no, I take it back. He's still working on that first lap. So just getting up to speed here, putting in the first one. And David Strid also coming up to speed now, starting his... There we go. He'll get in his first lap. David Strid now to second as we watch Graham Bunyan. And he does not improve to the pole. He will stay fourth. So currently it is Dominic Hart who took a surprise victory at the end of season 13. And as we watch David Strid here completing his second and final lap, we jump on board for the end of that lap. Across the start-finish stripe, not able to improve that time. Stay 32.8 for his official lap time. And so currently we just have Will Stearns on the track. He's pulled off to the side. He has qualified 7th tentatively, and I'm not sure who else may be able to make an attempt. We did see Maddie Simpson return to the field today. And so great to have you with us over here in the YouTube chat room. Looking in on the race. Hope you will be enjoying a good one. I'm sure you will. We'll have lots of fun. Insane drafting at well over 230 miles an hour at this track. It's always a blast to come here to Michigan International Speedway. So let's go ahead and get you started with the official qualifying results. And there you go. It is Dominic Hart who takes the dominant pole. And we'll start here, P1. And that is always great to see a new racer to the league jump up there and manage to get into that P1 slot, whether it's qualifying or for the race. So we wait for everybody to kind of grid up here, and then we'll be able to go through the rest of everything for you. So Dominic Hart, yes, on pole position. Will he have anything for Graham Bunyan? It has pretty much been the Graham Bunyan David Strid show thus far this season. We'll jump into those points here just a second as we go down through this list. It's Dominic Hart on pole. It will be David Strid in second, and then Richard Kelbaugh starting on the second row. We can finally get you the cameras that you so desire. Dominic Hart here will be starting first. And then David Strid on the outside. Richard Kelbaugh in the second row. Graham Bunyan, who has yet to grid, will be also starting outside on the second row. Ryan Bowles going to be starting on the third row next to Howard Livingston in the Care Camps machine. Will Stearns will be starting just behind. It's got a mid-pack starting position, so could be a good day for Stearns as he's out there to have fun today and out there on the track. Any day that you can be out there on the track is a good day. Fahim Rahman for Black Tiger Racing going to be starting next to Jason Lowe. Apologize, actually Lowe just ahead of Fahim Rahman, who will be starting next to Matty Simpson. And then it will be Rick Lovison starting alongside of Danny Alt. And then starting on our next row, there we go, will be Dan Ensch. And I show that Jeff Murray should be next, but Mike West currently shown in that position. So Mike West will be starting last today, but he's also one of those drivers that, you know, could take a victory. You never quite know. So we get set here. It'll be David Strid, Dominic Hart leading us to that green flag. And as you can imagine today, it's all about just kind of surviving. Now, this is a US IndyCar League. It's a very clean sort of league. They pride themselves on not many cautions. But a track like this, well, it's always easier said than done to keep that nose clean. So key strategies today, we are going to be looking at somewhere around 40 laps of green flag racing until we get our first round of pit stops. Will we make it that far? That's a good question. We sure hope so as we get set here. Sold out crowd once again for the US IndyCar League. And Dominic Hart leads us down to the green flag, and stacking up just behind, you've got David Strid, Richard Kelbaugh, and Graham Bunyan. It's Strid easily into that second position. Now we can see Graham Bunyan up into third, taking over that position, and we see some cars getting a little loose just behind. So we try to track through the field there, but it is, of course, Dominic Hart. Started on pole position, and there he is in the lead, continuing as he's making his way around for lap number 1. And just behind, you see a battle emerging between David Strid, Graham Bunyan, and Howard Livingston. Livingston popping into your camera there in 4th place. He's got Jason Lowe, 3-time champ, just behind. Howard Livingston leading Jason Lowe here in the early stages in 4th place, but up at up in front, it is your season 13 finale race winner, Dominic Hart, who leads over David Strid and Graham Bunyan. So definitely not what we have been seeing previously, as now Jason Lowe manages to get by for Team Rescue Ranch around the carecamps.org machine of Howard Livingston. So Lowe now sets his sights in front, trying to keep in check the duo of Strid and Bunyan, who have had so much success here in the series. Jason Lowe that time setting fastest Sector 1 and Sector 2 time, on his way to setting the fastest lap of the race. And then you can see him pushing up the track just ever so slightly as he gets in, tucked in behind Strid and Bunyan. There he's getting even closer. So this battle starting to emerge as Lowe refuses to drop off the back of this group. Who's just behind, though? Well, it's Howard Livingston, Matty Simpson. Now, these two drivers, it's great to have Matty back in the field as well. He was riding around with us for quite a while, in quite a few races a couple of seasons ago, but I haven't seen him recently. So it's once again just so great to have regulars rejoin back in the series when they have the time, when they're in the right place and they're ready to go racing. Here we go on lap 6. Matty Simpson taking a look at the backside of Howard Livingston. We jump on board with the number 3 machine. All of these drivers really watching their P's and Q's, so to speak, just to make sure that you're not doing anything silly on lap number 6. Might cause problems later on in the stint. But you can see Matty has now opened up quite a gap, almost a second back to the Team StickQuik.com driver. Of course, this is the Michigan 190 presented by StickQuik, as all of the races are presented by StickQuik right here on VirtualRacing.Network. As a result, although we do have commercials, as we see Matty Simpson now get that machine by Howard Livingston. Livingston not through with that position yet. And things tightening up just in front of this, as Bunyan now having to defend Jason Lowe a little bit. I was just going to say that these drivers, it could be very tempting to get up there and try to lead, as Strid sits now just off the back wing of Dominic Hart. It could be so tempting to get up there and lead, but again, fuel saving just such a huge part of these races, and you really want to make sure that you're in the right place as far as the fuel strategy. Certainly these drivers very well aware of fuel numbers and how to save fuel out there. Jump on board with the 004 machine. Jason Lowe for Team Rescue Ranch. As he looks up in front, can see Strid going to the low side on Dominic Hart. So there you go for position. Strid and Bunyan just behind, now making their move around Hart. And Hart challenges back to the low side on Bunyan. Thinks better of it and pulls it back up into position. There you jump on board with Bunyan sitting just behind Strid, and then down to the low side comes Dominic Hart. Washes up a little bit up the track. Hart does, in that dirty air wake of the Dallara IR-18 just in front. Hart now challenging once again down to the inside. And this is what I'm saying is, you know, these cars will tend to want to draft together. They'll tend to want to challenge each other, as Hart now goes to the low side and almost makes it 3 wide through turns 3 and 4 for a moment. Hart on the low side giving Bunyan and Strid a handful. and we look just behind, that is giving Jason Lowe front row seat to some of this action. I'm sure Lowe would love to be able to snag one of those positions should the three of these drivers get a little crossed up. Of course, part of that anticipation of that is making sure that you're in the right place should that happen. So sometimes you want to give yourself a little bit of a gap if things are getting a little crazy up in front. And in the meantime, another driver that does work with these drivers up in front, David Strid and Graham Bunyan. Take a look back through the field as we can see Matty Simpson just behind. Now, Matty was over a second back. Now it's, over a second back to Jason Lowe, as now Lowe has managed to get by Hart momentarily just up in front. And you can see that Matty Simpson is towing Howard Livingston with him towards the front there. So, in terms of the points in this championship, well, it's been 2 wins from Graham Bunyan, and he leads the points. David Strid a comfortable second in the points as well, and it gets a little hectic from that point on back. So we'll take a look at those points. Presuming that there will be some sort of a caution today, we'll get a chance to look at those. Otherwise, we will take a look a little bit later on when things mellow out a bit. But in the meantime, it's Strid and Bunyan who continue to lead this one. So Lowe keeping close tabs on this front group, but Lowe gonna have to do some magic here this season to be able to claw up there, not only solidify third in the championship, like he's almost, I mean, he doesn't take it for granted, but you figure Jason Lowe, if he's not winning first or second in the championship, he's a strong contender for third. But it was not so easy last season, as he did not take third in the championship. Jason Lowe, the first driver to let you know that he made too many mistakes last season. But with all that real life racing experience, being able to overcome some of the challenges that he's been facing, both health-wise and otherwise, time commitment-wise and things like that, been able to really cinch it back together and try to find some of that championship form that he had as we joined the series at the end of Season 10, when Lowe took his last championship here in the series. So Lowe just trying to do everything he can, and part of that, of course, is keeping your competition in check. We do have a yellow flag. I believe it is for Jeff Murray. We are going to go back and take a look at that momentarily. And indeed, Murray sitting in the pits. What happened? Well, let's go back and take a look at the replay here on VirtualRacing.Network. It's Murray just kind of losing it. Perhaps mid. It almost looks mid straightaway, and a lot of spins later comes to a rest there on the backstretch. Okay, well, let's take a look from on board. Perhaps if we back it up, it might make a little bit more sense. And I think, yes, he may have gotten into the wall on the outside. We play it back in real time, and there you go. That arrow push finally costing Jeff Murray. And he valiantly does many spins here, trying to keep that car off of the wall. But he eventually does tow that car back to the pits where he currently sits. And there you can see that car taking repair. No front right wing on that car. So this will, of course, throw a giant monkey wrench into things in terms of trying to get that green flag strategy in as they head down pit lane here. It's pretty much everybody taking on service. We'll let you know who does not. But Strid, your front runner here as they come down. Strid at the lead there. You see Fahim Rahman taking over the lead. And trying to get a idea of who that is in a second. I believe that's Danny Alt, who, you know, I'll just say bless the man, just bless the man for joining us. I've seen him try so many times to make it into these races. We've called it so many times that it's like, Danny, we just want you to be in the race, my friend. You show up for the practices, but come on out. And it's so great to see him in there and trying to get that lap back. I think I'm not sure if he will if Fahim does not pit. So going to be a little tough for him. We will have to work on Danny's sponsorship situation there. But great to see the man back out there on the track and adding to the US IndyCar League field. So as promised, why don't we go ahead and take a look at championship standings. As soon as we can find them, they're hidden deep. So deep. We have to deep dive here, the US IndyCar League, and there you go. Probably should get the logo of the league up there. There you go as well. So now you know what league it is that you're watching. Appreciate everybody being with us over here on YouTube. Unfortunately, we're not seeing our Spanish drivers again this week. I don't know if they missed it due to the time change or what's going on, but usually getting in Yabarillo in the chat room and a number of other drivers and other fans who are checking in. But here is your Season 14 standings as they run after a couple of rounds. It's Graham Bunyan who leads David Strid. Jason Lowe clinging to a 3-point lead over Dan Ensch. And Dan Ensch, you can see there with that great performance last week, able to stay in this championship. He's in 4th place now. So isn't that looking wonderful if you're a fan of the ALZ.org Last Lap Motorsports driver Dan Ensch? Ryan Bowles also climbing a couple of positions with that podium finish. Howard Livingston there in 6th place. And, you know, Howard's going to be really looking to get back into this top 3, top 5 championship hunt here, as he's been finishing so well in the championship last couple of seasons. It's become regular to see him up in the front. But in the meantime, really, it's been these two who have been at the front of the league this whole season for the past couple of seasons, and it's kind of been the Graham Bunyan show, if I do say so, with David Strid. So back underway here at the Michigan 190, presented by StickQuik. We are on lap 21, and it's Graham Bunyan leading David Strid and Jason Lowe, your top 3. Things getting a little spaced out here at the start. They'll cinch right back up with this draft, and you can see now a little bit further back, I believe that was Howard Livingston. If we can get to a tighter shot, there we go. Howard Livingston, Ryan Bowles, and Mike West all battling it out on track right now for that 6th place. And there you can see Bowles really far up the track. He really pushed high there. That was dangerous territory for Bowles moments ago. Or perhaps it just looked that way. In the meantime, looking up in front, nothing else has changed. Bunyan, Strid, and Lowe still 1, 2, 3. As we watch this battle a little bit further back, there's also Mr. StickQuik, Richard Kelbaugh. Rick Lovison just behind that. And, you know, of course, Rick, one of our series regulars. Dan Ensch, having made his pit stop, taking on fuel. Dan now says he's done 2 pit stops, so perhaps topping off there at the very end for the maximum amount of fuel. Danny Alt, in fact, back on that lead lap, so he did get his lead lap back. Jeff Murray just behind, and unfortunately, Fahim Rahman now down onto the pit lane. It does say that he had to come into the pit, so I really am not sure what that's about, because really not sure what that's about, because he took the green flag and then had to come into the pits. So for trying to find exactly where this is. So here is Fahim Rahman entering the pit lane. I'm just trying to go back over the notes and try and figure out what exactly happened. But I'm seeing Fahim, like, disconnecting and blinking in and out, so it is possible he's having connection issues and having to drop away from the race. In the meantime, these two teammates, if you want to call them that, are swapping the lead here back and forth as they attempt to make a breakaway from the first chase group just behind Jason Lowe and Dominic Hart. Hart making his move to the low side on Lowe. And I'm not sure if these two are trying to work together to catch that lead group, but sooner rather than later, it would be a good idea to form a little alliance and try and stay with that lead group should this stay green the whole time. The whole rest of this race, which is indeed possible. This, as I mentioned, is a very clean racing group. So Bunyan continuing here. We'll try to get some better camera coverage here now that we have the luxury of maybe a few laps without any triple wide racing. But I can tell you what, as we look back through the field a little bit, this was actually the fastest guy of the race through Sector 1. This is Ryan Bowles. See if we can get his sector times up here. And you can see for yourself, that time, that was last lap that he was fastest, but now looking at trying to gain on Mike West, who sits up in front. And now we're seeing there is a problem. I believe Danny Alt is out of the race. And I do not yet have a note regarding that. So Danny Alt now sitting on pit lane, unfortunately. Perhaps lost control. Still trying to find that. I just have a note that says he entered pit lane, so there we can see some smoke on the backstretch. Our spotter overhead doing a fantastic job of giving us no information as to who or what is causing some of this entanglement on the track, but nevertheless, we stay green here. Nothing being caused in front of these leaders, and I do see that now Jeff Murray is, well, he's still continuing to circulate, so he's not causing any of the issues. Dan Ensch quite a ways back now, so perhaps it's Dan Ensch who has had an issue. He's running all by himself here. And just a little difficult to tell exactly why that is the case. But once again, Dan Ensch running by himself has dropped well off of the pace. There you can see he gave up a lot of time a couple of laps ago, 9.7 seconds on lap 28. So definitely he must have had some sort of an incident and perhaps spun or perhaps but kept it off the wall. And so he's continuing here. So the fans, Dan Ensch out there probably hoping that he can catch back up or get a yellow flag to be able to catch back up. Meantime, out in front, they've been swapping the draft quite a bit, trying to break away, but not able to do so. And so Strid and Bunyan still sitting just ahead of Jason Lowe, who perhaps is trying to save fuel. Perhaps not, but he's in the right place to save fuel and certainly take advantage of that dirty air and that draft that's afforded by the car up in front. So we're well over a third of the way through here. And by well over, I mean a lap over. So just that fast, you blink your eyes, and we are a third of the way done with this Michigan 190. And it's been pretty clean so far. Haven't seen too much contact between the cars. And that is great because we'll get a chance to see this one play out in its real time, hopefully. Dominic Hart there sitting in fourth. And then you can see the gap back to the red and white Matty Simpson there with Ryan Bowles and Mike West just behind. So that trio now sitting about 2.5 seconds adrift of Hart. And then you have to go back another 1 second or so to Howard Livingston for the carecamps.org Coconut Castaways. And then Richard Kelbaugh, Rick Lovison in the white car. Will Stearns kind of running by himself, and then quite a ways back, still coming out of turn 4. That is Dan Ensch. Now, Fahim Rahman has managed to climb back into this field. Still shown 2 laps down, I believe. Rahman is shown 1 lap down, excuse me. And Jeff Murray is back out and circulating now. So you see Fahim having connection issues with us. That's not necessarily the case with the servers. It's just how it's viewed by our servers necessarily, or our connection to the server. So other drivers may not be seeing that connection issue. So continuing here, it's David Strid in the lead, lap 37. Graham Bunyan just behind, Jason Lowe tucking into third, and we wait to see who continues to make these adjustments as they go on. The tires would have been degrading ever so slightly, and now that we're getting into the bulk of this green flag action, you can take a look. Yeah, let's look at some of those weathers, the weather data that we have. It is 83 degrees in the air here. Date of virtual May 15th of this year. So actually the weather information has been surprisingly accurate many days. But you can see a little bit of difficulty here. A 14-mile-an-hour breeze causing a little bit of chaos as these cars approach over 230 miles an hour, and 120 degrees on the track. So eventually these tires do degrade, and it is about keeping that weight jacker in the right place, possibly the ARBs, but more likely the weight jacker, and playing with that to make sure that that car stays underneath you and not like Mike West has had here, coming out from underneath you. And sometimes that does happen as we try to take a look. Yeah, in fact, he's up into the wall there. Oh my goodness, a hard lick on the inside wall. And Mike West gonna be looking for the bits and pieces out there in the weeds for a little while. We'll take a look one more time just to see if there was possibly any sort of contact or anything leading to it, but I don't see anything. It looks like it's the same case where you come in low and you see the car just track up the track. I think that's just what we saw in the accident earlier that brought out the caution. So very, very easy to do. And as a result, Mike West has had to jump back to the pits. That car not drivable. And so there he sits, unfortunately, on pit lane. And their car has been serviced and repaired. And so he'll be able to get back underway momentarily. So lap 41 here, you know, we haven't been seeing it for a while because it doesn't always make sense to put it up on the screen, but there you go. It's the track map. You can see where your favorite driver is running at the moment, and there you can see their initials in the track map itself. But you don't have to look very far to see this red, black, and silver machine of David Strid and the dark blue and black metallic silver machine of Graham Bunyan. They have been the colors and the dominant force here thus far, leading all of our laps except for the first few by Dominic Hart. Hart now falling back to 4th place and starting to fall off of Jason Lowe, who is currently in 3rd a little bit. Still within closing distance, but Hart, your pole sitter, has now dropped back. So Lowe is up 5 spots from where he qualified. This is exactly what we're talking about. You can't count out Jason Lowe any week. Here's another driver you can't count out, Ryan Bowles. Boy, he likes to get up close to that wall. Why don't we take a ride around with Ryan Bowles, Michigan International Speedway. And there you see Ryan Bowles actually pulling it into the pits here. Not sure if this was a planned stop, as we are now on lap 46. And so Bowles taking service momentarily. You see Fahim Rahman in the pits there as well, kind of blinking out a little bit. You know, another couple of drivers we have not seen, Joe Bricky. It's possible Bricky could be at the race in Texas. I'm not sure. But for those of you who are looking forward to the upcoming races today, we got F1 going to be out there for the first race of the season. It's coming up in a little bit. We've got IndyCar coming up at Texas here in just a little bit. But hey, we're so happy to have the first race of the day and bring you some live IndyCar high-speed action here. As Dominic Hart momentarily took over that lead, got another point in, or got another stat in that laps led column, but now pulling it onto pit road for his scheduled service here on lap 47. So after that initial caution, these drivers kind of resetting their strategies, trying to figure out exactly where they want to be. Hart having pitted, Strid and Bunyan also taking service, lap 43, 46 for those drivers. And Jason Lowe also in on lap 46. In the meantime, Hart just exiting the pits now. So you can see how much time has been lost. Quite a lot of time lost. In fact, he's going to lose 4th place now, 5th place as he exits the pits and tries to drive up the track, but there's nowhere for him to go. It's straight back into 6th place for Dominic Hart. So perhaps we can take a look at some of that pit stop. Maybe we'll do the pit lane time. That might make it a little easier to see. As they come around here, we can take a look and see comparison of everyone's pit stop times and how long was actually spent on pit lane. And you can see there, Strid 36.7 seconds, Bowles 37.5 seconds, and as they cross the start-finish stripe, Bowles 37.5. Hart's time not yet coming in. We'll get that in just one moment, but Hart definitely dropping a couple of positions and losing out to some of these faster drivers. Now he starts to close in on the back of Matty Simpson a little bit, as we watch the already one-time winner here in the US IndyCar League, the end of last season, And there you can see exactly what we're talking about right there on your screen. Dominic Hart, 39.1 seconds spent on pit lane. And you compare that to the 36.7, 36.9. Fastest that time was 36.3 for Jason Lowe. So you lose a few seconds either entering or exiting the pits, and well, it could be extremely costly, as you can see here. And that is green flag pit stops for you in a nutshell. So as good as you are out there on the track, I mean, you've got to be even better execution getting into the pits. And here you can see Hart now on the back of Matty Simpson. He takes a look down to the inside. We'll jump on board with Hart. Hart now going to have to come back through these two drivers and then try to find a way to close that gap to get up there to Jason Lowe. Struggling to get by Matty Simpson here, has to back out of that pass a little bit on the low side. Snap-on machine. Now trying to close back onto the back of Matty Simpson and Ryan Bowles. So really struggling now to be able to mount this charge and get back up there to where he once was. If he could, he'd try to maybe work with Simpson and Bowles. Those two kind of unofficial teammates, though I don't know if they're necessarily in the same chat together or anything, able to work together in that way. But definitely if Hart was trying to recapture that pole position speed and get back up there into that lead, he's going to have to work with somebody and do some leapfrogging to try to get back up there, or hope for a caution. That's always one of your best buddies if you're a racer. So Hart here, once again, really closing up on the back. See if we can stay on board long enough to catch him in a pass. There you can see 217 miles an hour, our software catching him into the corner. Up over 220 on the backstretch. Wanted to see that 230 number, but it's not quite there. 229 into turn 3 here on the backstretch at Michigan International Speedway. Now, of course, this is the legacy version of Michigan as well, which, you know, these different versions really do mean different things to these drivers. You have to drive them a little differently and not too much at a place like this, Michigan, but the corners do tend to get a little reprofiled. Certainly when we're talking about a track like Texas, the difference between Old Texas and New Texas is astounding, and some people really don't like the New Texas. They love the Old Texas style, but Michigan, one of those tracks who's gotten a little different over the years, and so yeah, you got to drive it a little differently, but still the concept exactly the same, the racing line almost exactly the same. And just great to see these tracks living on here, as the real life IndyCar series not able to come back here to Michigan for quite a while. And of course this track and its former sister track, well, I guess still sister track, California Speedway out in Fontana, such a huge part of the IndyCar legacy, as well as the, I guess, Champ Car kart being part of that IndyCar legacy, and the US 500 and what it meant at the time when the Indy 500 was going on and the IRL was going on. So much history here at Michigan, and it's so great that on iRacing we can celebrate that, come back here and give it a big challenge once again. And of course, speaking of challenging, hey, this guy right here sitting in third place, don't count him out. Do not sleep on Jason Lowe, because I'll tell you what, Lowe knows how to get it done. He's been sitting back there. He's been saying, hey, I think this is part of his strategy with this new livery and the mirror look on that car. is Lowe wants to say, you look in your mirrors, you can't see anything. It's just reflecting your car right back at you. It's like a cloaking technology. So just performing sort of a cloak around the car. It says, oh, you can't see me here in third place. I'm just sitting here, you know, just sort of invisible. And then he'll wait for his time to strike. As they say, a NASCAR sitting in the catbird seat. Indeed, waiting as someone who has come to enjoy the cat life myself. I can certainly attest to those little kitties sitting there waiting to pounce on each other or something they pretend is a mouse. And that is definitely the position that Lowe is in right now, sitting there in third. He really is, if I'm being completely honest here, all kidding aside, he really is in the driver's seat. And I think that Bunyan and Strid, while they are controlling the race, they are very well aware that one properly timed pass could send Jason Lowe straight up to the front of this race. So the question is, when does Lowe want to make that move? Can Lowe mount enough of a draft that he can safely slingshot both of these drivers at once? Because you probably don't want to get mixed up in a multi-part battle between these other two drivers. Definitely if you get stalled out in your passing, and for example, you only get by Graham Bunyan and you don't get by David Strid, that's potentially game over in terms of being able to get that final pass done on Strid. So Lowe really is going to have to look at it and time it appropriately. And that's why he gets paid the big bucks. You know, and we just sit up here in the booth and watch these guys do what they do. When I say the big bucks, I mean it. He is probably the highest paid driver in the entire field here in the US IndyCar League. All of them receiving exactly the same salary of fun and investment into iRacing that comes out of their wallet. So, how do you make a small fortune? How do you make a small fortune in racing? You start off with a large fortune. And Jason Lowe continuing here in third place to chase down our two leaders, David Strid and Graham Bunyan. Just 30 laps remain. We are just about 2/3 of the way done and dusted with this one. Jason Lowe challenging. Will he have something today? We will see whether he can hold on to that third place and not make mistakes, or whether he will be able to challenge for second and first come the end of this race. Ryan Bowles sitting back there in fourth. He's had Matty Simpson just riding around with him off his six for a while. They are, as I mentioned, somewhat teammates together, as you can see Mike West making a pit stop, getting that car slowed up onto the jacks and taking service here on lap 66. Back underway. And he'll resume this race. So a little recap. It was, we are now on lap 67 of season 14, round number 3. It's the Michigan 190 presented by StickQuik right here on VirtualRacing.Network. I'm Trevor Greenfield. So great to have you along with us. If you're watching us live over on our YouTube chat room, feel free to stop in, say hello. Iñigo Mardones letting us know, unfortunately, he's missed the race again. And he's got to get the timing right to get into the race. Of course, timing over there a little different on the other side in terms of the standard time changing and all of that kind of stuff. We're hoping that it all goes away here in the United States. We could just have one time all year, but at least I am. then you got to get down to which time is it that you want. So anyway, it's Graham Bunyan who leads here, and he took over the lead from Dominic Hart early on. Hart on pole position for today's race, and now you can see these two, Bunyan and Strid, swapping position back and forth as they have been doing most of this race at the front. They've had Jason Lowe just behind for a good deal of the race, but Lowe just kind of sitting there, and now Lowe moving up into second place as Strid makes his way down into the pits. So Strid electing to split strategy off of Bunyan, perhaps not quite getting the fuel strategy, the fuel mileage of Bunyan. But Strid splitting off, taking service. We also see the team StickQuik.com driver of Richard Kelbaugh, that familiar green and black, pulling it into the pits there and going to take probably his final service on the day. Also here, Jason Lowe pulling it in, and he's going to take his final service on the day. That leaves Graham Bunyan sitting out there in front, and I think that tells you everything you needed to know about who was saving the most fuel out there. Dan Ensch also still on the track. You got Bunyan, and we did see that Ensch was about to go a lap down, and he did in fact go a lap down. So we'll see as it all shakes out whether or not he ends up that lap down. But there he is just in front. That is Ensch just in front there, and you can see he's got Mike West just behind, and then Graham Bunyan just behind that. So that battle there with West not for position with Ensch. Ensch now in 11th spot, up 2 spots from where he qualified. And once again, our pit fuel data coming to us via Dan Ensch for the ALZ.org Last Lap Motorsports machine. Ensch, a longtime partner of that Last Lap Motorsports team. And, you know, it's really cool now that we've got Ensch out there, and he's just trying to stay in front of Graham Bunyan and keep from going another lap down here, as Bunyan has retaken the lead. Matty Simpson shown in second, Dominic Hart in third, Rick Lovison making his way into the pits. One of the things I was going to say, Dan Ensch, he's obviously, we talked already about the Alzheimer's Association that's a sponsor on that machine and been his primary sponsor for some time and become even more prominent this season. We did the race in Iowa last race, so if you missed that, make sure to go back and check it out. A lot of good talking about Alzheimer's, the Alzheimer's Association, but it was great to see that now one of the drivers in the real life IndyCar series also sponsored by a possible treatment for Alzheimer's. And so just great to see it starting to come up in racing and get that awareness. And Dan Ensch really at the forefront of that virtually here on the VirtualRacing.Network. And, you know, of course, I'm friends with Dan and was part of Last Lap Motorsports for all of last year and part of this year. And great team, a great guy, Dan Ensch, and just, you know, great that he brings that awareness. But thought I would mention that. It's a great thing to see. I can't remember the name. I believe it's like All's Away or something like that. I can't remember. As we see now Dominic Hart, the leader, dropping into the pits for his final stop. And by the way, as we flash over, see if we get those sectors up there before they're no longer relevant. Hey, look at that purple sector for Graham Bunyan, as he's now taking these drafts very seriously. Will he set the fastest lap of the race? He does, in fact, a 32.67. Not the fastest sector 2, but fastest sector 1. Bunyan pretty much doing whatever he wants to do out there on the track. And now we'll see whether or not Ensch moves aside for Bunyan. Stays on the low side, and there has been some talk as of late. Now, Ensch is on the lead lap, so he is able to defend this position as hard as he wants. But once you go down a lap in the US IndyCar League, pretty much you don't have any rights to defend that position any longer. So he has a right to try to get that lap back, to try to stay in this draft. But once you are a lap down, if the leaders are coming around to pass you, you no longer have a right to race with them. And of course, Ensch knows that. He's not officially part of the admin team here, but he is one of the drivers that is, one of the regulars here in the league, and definitely part of the team that does a lot of the work and a lot of the setup work, etc. Now, we had this just a moment ago. This is Will Stearns. We hadn't been talking about him too much. He'd been running a pretty solid race in mid-pack. He has a moment going off through the grass. Well, I take it back. Maybe some of these drivers aren't being paid, but Will Stearns going to get some virtual money for doing some lawn clipping for Michigan International Speedway. Unfortunately, though, that will pull him down to the inside. He'll lose several spots, as you could see there. A couple of the drivers getting by. I believe that was Matty Simpson. And so that will now take Will Stearns a lap down. We'll go back to the live picture, and this is getting quite chaotic just in front. It's Jason Lowe, David Stridd, and Graham Bunyan who are in the lead here, but it's Lowe in third, who's trying to make some moves and perhaps go around on the high side of David Stridd. I should be my own color commentary. I could do two different voices at a time. I was like pausing and thinking I'll have my color commentator come in and fill me in. Here we go. Jason Lowe in third, trying to hold on, perhaps trying to get by. We're 16 laps away from the end of this one, and we're going to stay with you here as you watch side by side. Jason Lowe now reach into that second position, coming up on the back of that lap car now of Dan Ensch. As these two battle side by side, we will go ahead and take a look at something that you need in your life, and we'll be rather quick about it. But there you can see Lowe now closing in on the back of the ALZ.org machine. And in the meantime, what's this on the right hand side? It's that thing that I've got in my house now. I didn't have it, say, a year ago, but it's changed my life. It can change yours too. Look at it. Look at this refrigerator, the medicine cabinet. Doesn't look like how my medicine cabinet used to look. That thing was just over chock full. And really, honestly, I need to buy a couple more packages of these StickQuik so I can make it look like that. But this is the StickQuik. These little bands, they're silicone, heavy-duty bands that are chemical resistant, weather resistant, and you can put them around gardening tools. You can put them around the vape in your car. Let your mind run with it. And basically, you just put them around anything that's semi-roundish. It could go around even a squarish handle on a tool, or, on the screwdrivers, whatever it is. And then what it does is it makes it magnetic. So you can go ahead and slap that thing to that, as you can see there, the post on that shelf. You can slap it to one of these metal stickies that you can put up on your wall, right onto your tool chest, anything that will accept a magnetic connection. And even better, even if it doesn't have the magnetic connection, if it's not made of steel, StickQuik comes with little magnetic pads that you can stick on anything. So there you go, right there in your shower, in a place where you need your razor to be handy and ready to go. That's the perfect place to stick your StickQuik. They come in 6 different colors, different sizes in each package, so you can get the right size for whatever tool it is that you need. Hey, it's really affordable. Head on over to stickquick.com right now, or perhaps right after this race, so you can watch the last 10 laps, and buy yourself a pack, or 2 or 3. Buy them for your friends, your family, neighbors. Hey, you ever see that friend that's down the street who's working on their car all the time? Hey, this is a perfect icebreaker. Take take one of these packages down there, tell them that you race in the league with these guys. They're the title sponsor, presenting sponsor, excuse me, and let them know that they can go to StickQuik.com and get more of them for their friends. So always a pleasure to represent StickQuik here, and always a pleasure to have them be the presenting sponsor of the US IndyCar League. So back to live coverage, and though I've been focused on Jason Lowe, it's actually been Graham Bunyan who's been in the lead. Bunyan kind of left alone here, as Strid was his tail gunner for quite a bit of this race, but unfortunately now it's just Bunyan left alone to do some fast laps. Will he be able to continue to pull out some time on Jason Lowe? Let's take a look at their recent lap times, and there you can see Lowe actually matching lap times that time by. But Lowe able to clip into that lead just ever so much. It's now sitting at about 1.3 seconds as we look back from the 101 machine of Graham Bunyan. Doesn't seem that far back, but it's well over a football field. Now, in the meantime, before we get too close to the end of this one, this was just a moment ago. I'm not sure if... Yes, in fact, so let's take a look. This is Jeff Murray. This happened while I think we were at commercial break there. Or, sorry, the side-by-side. Is up high in the corner, and just there's nowhere to go up there. You know, you're trying to hold that high line, and you get up there into those marbles, of which there's dust and dirt, marbles up there in the on the high side, and you know you can do that a lot. As Murray had to stop and bring it into the pits there, unfortunately, and now he sits in the pits. And unfortunately, we've got David Strid in the pits as well here, taking service. Did we have a moment with David Strid? This, let's see, we've got Strid coming in here, taking service. I'm not sure if that was planned. Let's go back and take a look. Coming out of the corner. No, this was planned stop, so perhaps fuel mileage becoming a concern? Not sure at all. We'll go back to the live picture here. We've still got Graham Bunyan in the lead. Jason Lowe second. Ryan Bowles third. We'll try to keep an eye on and see if anybody does make emergency pit stops, as we're now down just to 4 laps to go. Bunyan, one of those aces in the field at knowing exactly how many laps he needs to get to be able to get to the end of one of these things, even on fumes. But will Lowe be able to close in? It's now down to just 1 second. That chrome machine chasing down Graham Bunyan in the closing laps here. 3 laps to go, but it's now gone back up to just over a tenth more on that lap. So it's I'm not sure whether we can take a look. You can see the lap history here. The last 5 laps, as it's shrunk and grown back here. I don't know if Lowe can turn up that weight jacker anymore and try to get to the front of this one, but it looks like Graham Bunyan able to kind of set sail. He might have turned up the fuel map a little bit. And we are now under a yellow flag. I believe it's Dominic Hart who's had a moment. Our pole sitter, in fact, it is. There he is out in the grass, and this is going to hand over that victory to Graham Bunyan, with Jason Lowe in second and Ryan Bowles a second consecutive pole position or podium position here in the US IndyCar League. So we'll jump back here in just one moment and take a look at perhaps what caused this. His heart is now continuing here, and there you can see coming through turn 4, just getting it loose off of the corner. Sorry, into turn 3, actually. So I'm guessing he had some very, very crazy settings, perhaps, on that car, on the wayjacker, and well, didn't work out so great for him, unfortunately, today. Just our second caution of the day, but it comes at the very end, and we'll give a chance to Graham Bunyan to take a third consecutive victory, and really, it's just so fun to watch. I know that for all of those out there who would love to see side-by-side finishes each week, I mean, and who doesn't in each series, but to watch a driver go out there in a fixed setup series such as this one and be able to dominate and play the game, and, you know, sit in second behind his teammate for a while and save fuel, etc. Well, Graham Bunyan has done it for 3 times in a row this season. He's gotten 3 consecutive championships in this league. He continues his unbelievable march of success and excellence, and it is just a pleasure to be able to call these races and be able to see a driver be able to execute at such a very high level. So Graham Bunyan absolutely taking victory here in Michigan at the Michigan 190. We were kind of setting up for perhaps a last lap finish, but I don't think so. I think Graham Bunyan had this one in the bag. We get a chance to talk with him here just a moment. We're just finishing this one up and waiting for the results to become totally official. We'll get them up there on the screen, and then we will have post-race interview. Stay tuned for that. Once again, so great to have you with us here in the YouTube chat room and watching us also live or recorded. Either way, so great to be with you and be able to talk and bring these races with you. So thank you so much for stopping in here on our YouTube chat room. Make sure to subscribe to VirtualRacing.Network, and you'll get lots more coverage here of the US IndyCar League, as Graham Bunyan does, in fact, bring us back down to the checkered flag, and that is going to do it. He'll stop here right at start finish line. Hopefully nobody crashes into him, as they were all just kind of, I think everybody was just kind of waiting for this pace lap procession to end before they can actually make their way around. So Bunyan will do what he does very well, which is to do these donuts, and we'll go ahead and get those final results up there on the screen as Bunyan takes your victory here at Michigan. It's the Legacy Michigan. It was a good race today. Lots of room for drafting and passing. Unfortunately, I think there was a lot of waiting to pass, but not a lot of chances for drivers to really shoot it out. Nevertheless, Bunyan takes your win as he reverses down the track. That's some funny, funny stuff with I don't know that I have ever seen this. This is some funny stuff there with his teammate Ryan Bowles. And finally, they have a problem and have to drift apart. What a great show of fun and sportsmanship here as Bunyan celebrating his victory over Lowe's and Bowles. Matty Simpson, a driver we haven't seen here in the league for a couple of seasons, and just so astounding to see him come back and take 4th place. Hard fought 4th for Matty Simpson there. Yeah, terrific finish for him, managing to climb 6 positions on the day. Fantastic drive. Howard Livingston finishes with yet another top 5. It seems like it's really hard to keep that guy out of the top 5 and keep this championship fight alive for that top 3. Kelbaugh Richard Kelbaugh, Mr. StickQuik, well, he started in third. He ended up in sixth, but, you know, he's qualifying well up there in the top three, managing to get close to top five in the top six. I mean, he's going to be climbing up in the points. This is actually a season for sure to remember for Mr. Kelbaugh, Mr. StickQuik there. Rick Lovison ending up in sixth. As we try to get some of these donuts that these guys are doing dual donuts. Once again, I'm not sure I've ever seen anything quite like this. My goodness, dueling donuts. So we just let this one play out. There, the rest of the finishing order. Rick Lovison, unfortunate day for in seventh for Rick Lovison, series regular there. In eighth place, Dominic Hart having a couple of issues, ending up 2 laps back, but that is not how he qualified. That's not how it really looked today. He was basically up there in the front early on and then just slowly started drifting back, having an incident there at the end and costing him several spots. David Strid also would love to find out what cost him and caused him to come into the pits, perhaps just not getting the fuel mileage of the others. We got Mike West, Dan Ensch having an issue as well. Would love to find out what happened to him. Rahim Rahman back in 12th. Jeff Murray, a couple of spins incidents into the wall today. Will Stearns also an incident going over the grass there in the tri-oval. And Danny Alt, your final runner, finishing in 15th. So stay tuned. I think we can grab perhaps... let's see if we can grab Jason Lowe, our second place finisher, who might be available to us. And Jason, can you hear me?
Yeah, Trevor, I'm here. Thanks.
There he is. Hey, Jason, no problem, my friend. Like I was saying earlier, you seem to have that mirror finish on there during this race. You started back 8th place. You come all the way up there into second, and you had that mirror finish. You're sitting behind Strid and Bunyan. I think you were just trying to melt in and try to get it to so that they couldn't see you in their mirrors or something. But hanging out there in third, managed to get Strid there at the end for second. Congratulations. Great run today.
Yeah. Woke up this morning in quite a bit of pain. I did something to my shoulder. My right shoulder's artificial, and unfortunately, I must have tore something in it yesterday doing yard work. And this was a tough one. I haven't been in this much physical pain in a long time, and I couldn't really use my right arm much other than to shift. And I feel fortunate to come up in second. Would have liked to have battled Graham for the finish, but I just didn't have enough for him there at the end. It used the car up pretty good, used the right front up pretty good, stand with him and David. And then I guess David touched the wall coming out of 2, and let me get by him, or I don't know, I might have been a third place car today. I'm just not sure, but grateful to finish. Gonna get some ice on my shoulder, get some bourbon in my mouth, and congratulations to Graham. He drove an excellent race as always. Congratulations to Rick Kelbaugh for his awesome qualifying position, and congratulations to Ryan on a good third, and thank you to StickQuik as always.
Absolutely. Well, we do appreciate you stopping in here, Jason. I'm sure you do want to get some ice on that. Just a bummer you had to suffer through yet another setback this week, but still you gave it your all. A great finishing position, and still putting your name in the hat for the championship, keeping yourself up there in that top 3 in the championship. Hopefully, we'll see where the points all stack up. But again, good luck with the rest of the season, and hopefully that shoulder injury doesn't turn out to be more than just a recovery from a hard day's workout in the yard, hopefully.
Yeah, my 5th place last week at Iowa I got stuck in the pits when the caution came out, or I think I probably had a better finish in me last week, and feel good about the start of the season. 2 top 5s, and chasing Graham. So, I mean, he's the man to chase. So I feel pretty good about it. And thanks as always, Trevor, for your broadcast. And again, congratulations to Graham and Ryan.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations to you, Jason. 2nd place. Great run today. Back in the old competitive nature of the old Jason Lowe. They say when you watch some of these basketball games, races, etc., when you're kind of suffering sometimes, it helps you to refocus your energy back up there in front. But nevertheless, we hope you get well, Jason, and good luck with the rest of the season, bud. So Yeah, thank you, sir. So that is second place, Jason Lowe. Of course, Jason is the series administrator as well. So if you're looking to get into the US IndyCar League, it's not a bad time. We're 3 races in. You can still join the league. Just there is a link down in the description. It'll take you over to the iRacing page for the US IndyCar League. If you've done any amount of racing in IndyCars on iRacing, go ahead and apply. And they may bring you out for the Saturday practice session. You get a chance to run a little bit of practice just to show that you fit in with the league and can demonstrate some capability behind the wheel. And then we'll get you out there and you can get out and try and take down Jason Lowe and Ryan Bowles and Graham Bunyan. But good luck. It is easier said than done. And speaking of which, we're going to look and see. I'm not seeing Ryan Bowles in there this week. We did get a chance to talk with him last week, which is great. Always great to get a chance to talk with new drivers. And so I think we're going to be able to grab Graham Bunyan here in just a moment. And hey, Graham, do you hear me?
I do. I was going to run away and grab a drink, but no, I'm here.
Well, I'll let you run away and grab a drink if you can do it in 20 seconds while I introduce you. How does that sound?
Oh, mate, I tell you what. Give it a go.
We'll do that. Well, folks, pretend you didn't hear that little intro. We'll let him just run on off to his fridge and come back. But he did it today. He's done it all season long. We run out of superlatives for what this man can do behind the wheel of the Dallara IR-18 IndyCar here on the iRacing service. And, you know, it looks like he's just out there for a Sunday drive. It's actually a Monday morning drive for him. It's O'Dark 30 there in his area of Australia. But it is great to see Bunyan every single week coming out here, giving it his all, and he did it this week. He was racing with David Stritt, his teammate. You see them running there nose to tail. Then he was kind of left to himself to fend off Jason Lowe, and he did it excellently as well. He manages to take victory here, not from pole position, but victory in Michigan, and that's what pays the most points. Congratulations, Graham Bunyan, and I hope I've stalled long enough to get you your beverage in hand. Congrats here. 3 races in and 3 wins in a row.
Yeah, crazy. Qualifying here. I've never been a fast qualifier at Michigan. It's always been a tough one for me. I can't get it down low enough to keep it to stick there. Unfortunately, it's one of my bad tracks.
It's one of your bad tracks that you win at. Well, I see that. So, well, we'll just skip over that. It's one of the tracks that you've won at here in iRacing in the US IndyCar League, which that list continues to grow. Talk us through your race. I mean, again, once again, you didn't start on the pole. You had Dominic Hart up there. Now, that must have been a little scary given that Hart was able to win at Indy last season. You got to be looking at that and his speed and be saying, well, I might have him to deal with all day today. Nevertheless, you and Strid managed to work together and kind of handle Hart. And talk us through that first little stint and how you guys managed to hang out and just kind of play the game.
Yeah, look, firstly, congrats to Dominic for his pole position there. Look, I struggled with the car throughout all the practice yesterday, struggled with it today, and it wasn't until probably halfway through the first stint I started to work out what was going on. But it was a tough one for the first 1.5 stints. Once we got past Dominic, it was okay, but there's one thing to qualify fast and then there's another thing to race fast. So 2 different racecrafts.
Absolutely.
Your mic is muted, apparently. I just got a message to say your mic is muted.
My mic is muted. My mic is not muted, and neither is yours, because I'm seeing you on my VUs here in Discord.
Okay.
So
don't know. I just got a message from Dave.
Anybody's watching the YouTube chat room, let us know if it's any different, but everybody's mic is still on here as far as I know.
I can hear you both.
Thank you so much, Jason. Tell David to get in here too. We want to talk to that guy eventually. Anyway, Graham, so awesome to see that excellence, be able to work the field, stay where you needed to in the times where you needed to fuel save, etc. How close was it on fuel? Did you have that covered there at the end? Were you trying to fuel save Were you in a higher fuel mapping mode, just trying to get the last drops of fuel out of this thing, or did you have it pretty well taken care of?
You know what? I think with everything that was going on the track, with that yellow that we had, it threw the whole fuel stop out, and it wasn't until probably the last, I don't know, 3/4 of the way through their second last stint, it was like, hey, are we going to have fuel to do one more stop? And it was, yeah, that was the alarm zone then to sort of try and stretch it out a little to get to that crucial lap. I think Dave may have just made it to the crucial lap by getting out in the draft. If he had lost the draft, I don't think he would have made it. And I think Jason may not have made it if he didn't have draft either. So it was a tough one.
And exactly, it's a tough one, but nevertheless, you managed to hold on to it. I think possibly Strid having an issue. It does say that Dominic Hart did check in with us over in the YouTube chat room, told us that he tagged the wall before his second stop, and that made his car quite loose. So he was hanging out back there with Jason Lowe as well for quite a while, but yes, indeed, he lost some time, and that was obviously an issue. But then when you looked also at the pit stop times, a couple of drivers struggling on pit road, but once again, you didn't. David Strid didn't struggle getting onto and off of pit road. That's also another factor. So, I mean, really, Graham, it's not just going out there and executing in the car and, you know, having the settings right. It's also getting onto and off of pit road and making sure you don't spin or cause any of those silly mistakes, right?
Oh, definitely. Those 2/10 or whatever it is that you make up on entry and get it out there on exit. It's a lot overall. But I think the biggest issue with the IndyCar, and I think I said this once before, is that they changed that draft from 0.7 to 2 seconds. And I think, personally, I think that's too long. That shouldn't be a 2-second draft from another car. Like, I can't get that on a road car in a normal race. So.
for certain, yeah, and I know that it's tough for iRacing. They have to balance this car and try and not only please virtual racing drivers, but they've had a lot of input in their ears from real racing drivers who say it's not handling perfectly, or doesn't do this, or doesn't do that. New car coming out next year, that should maybe give a new scan and a whole new different feeling to it. But in the meantime, everybody's got the same set of physics, and yet, once again, Graham, you come out here each and every week and show that you're one of the best, if not the best, behind the wheel of one of these Indy cars on iRacing. And just once again, congratulations. Any more shout outs or thanks to do before we move on with the end of the race here?
Oh yeah, look, definitely a shout out to everybody. Shout out to Dave. He should have been on the podium today. I think he just got a bit of bad air and hit turn 2 wall. Denny, I'm not sure what happened to Denny. I've got to go back and look at that. And Mike, I'm not sure what happened. I think he ended up 2 laps down as well. Ryan, congrats to the podium, 3rd place there. And Jason, congrats. And also StickQuik and yourself and everybody else who comes day in, day out, week in, week out.
Hey, and I appreciate all of that. And let me also mention, we did get Danny Alt out there for some race laps, and that was great.
He
did 26 laps. I'm so excited. And then also Maddie Simpson with a fantastic return here, getting 4th place. So
yeah, Maddie's been he's been working hard. He's a big choo-choo train conductor now, so congrats on him, fully qualified.
All right.
So he drives the trains and off he goes. Yeah, so no, he's had a good return as well. So 4th place there. Well done.
Absolutely. Well done. A whole team of friends who come together and race here in the US IndyCar League. You could call them teammates, but they're really just good friends, and that extends over to the whole group that really works together and tries to have a great time out here on Sundays. We appreciate everybody tuning in as they do throughout the season. And of course, if you miss any races or any of the action, you can go right back here at VirtualRacing.Network and see them all. Congratulations, Graham Bunyan, and we will see you for the rest of the season, bud.
No worries. Thank you, Trevor, and thanks for everybody else.
Absolutely. So that is Graham Bunyan, your winner here 3 times. He has done it this season. Can anyone stop Graham Bunyan? Well, Jason Lowe gave it a heck of a shot today. David Strid was real close. Ryan Bowles getting another podium position, and Dominic Hart taking pole position, taking a podium position, for Ryan Bowles. But Dominic Hart taking pole position and almost able to hang up there. And we could have a new winner next week. Make sure to tune in. Same channel, same time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm Trevor Greenfield, and you've been watching VirtualRacing.Network. This has been a live coverage of the US IndyCar League's third round, the Michigan 190, presented by StickQuik. So until next week, make sure you subscribe, like this video for more. I'm Trevor Greenfield. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Until then, bye-bye, everybody. Enjoy the Texas IndyCar race and Formula One, which should be underway right now. Bye-bye.
Hey, Scotty back.